Hi everybody, happy to have you here, and I'm so grateful that you are curious about herbal tonics. It's one of my favorite subjects to talk about because I feel like it is so easy and it is so accessible for all of us to really benefit from herbal medicine in this form, in this way. So I have a few different categories of tonics that I want to talk about, as well as a few different ways where you can bring tonics into your life regularly. My name is Chantal Solomon, founder of Heart Seeds Creative. I am a community herbalist and professional artist practicing in Victoria, BC, which is in Canada, on a small island called Vancouver Island. It's quite lovely here, and I happen to live in the warmest part of Canada, and so the winters are quite mild, and we can pretty much garden year round here, which I really love. I first started getting into gardening when I was living in a communal house. I think I was 20 when I was living there, and yeah, I just kind of got the bug for growing food, and then through my curiosity of wanting to know what the weeds were coming up in my garden, and just connecting with plants through that process of growing and processing them, I became interested in herbal medicine. Um, I myself have been interested in health, mental health, and well being pretty much my whole life. I'm actually a childhood trauma survivor, and so I was diagnosed with PTSD at a pretty young age. And so, finding balance, finding things that really nourish me, um, was a journey. And herbal medicine, and gardening and horticulture therapy really really has been it for me. It became it was a healing journey, but it also became what I wanted to hold space for with other people as well. So I studied to become a herbalist in kind of in the traditional way of learning from elders in the community, and also doing some formal studies in Western herbalism as well. My ancestry is I'm mixed race, so I have family from Africa that were brought in and raised in Texas, and eventually they moved over to California. I have ancestors from Scotland as well. My great grandfather was a traditional herbalist from Scotland, moved over to Nova Scotia um, many moons ago. And I also have some Métis heritage, which is First Nations group around the Ontario region. And so I've always been curious about my ancestors, and through my work with plants, really got even more interested in that, and had lots of amazing discovery to find out that I was actually from a lineage of plant people, which is pretty exciting to me. Um, so the topic today is herbal tonics. Um, it's it's a term that gets thrown around quite a bit these days, especially like with marketing. You hear like, "Oh, it's a tonic, it's a tonic." So, I want to just start by kind of breaking that down a little bit, um, uh, and also speak to the general umbrella of what a tonic is. So, a tonic to me is usually herbs that are quite safe, meaning that they don't have a lot of things that they're gonna throw someone out of balance with their pharmaceuticals, or with their certain ailments that they might have. They're also herbs that I would categorize as gentle, more mild herbs, things that can be taken over a longer period of time. Um, as well as things that can be a tonic to specific systems, but they also can be just a tonic to our general well-being as well. Um, so yeah, the term tonic, it doesn't exist in all the ancient herbal ways of being. There's traditional Chinese medicine, there's Ayurveda, And, in the Western herbal medicine is actually more of a newer field of medicine, if you will, a field of study, where it has been more backed by science and research, and um, through using the word tonic, in herbal medicine, um, mostly, yeah, speaks to how I described it, and then with its use in everyday marketing now. Um, so generally safe, generally can take over a longer period of time, and is often equated with being good for a specific system. So one of my favorite categories of the tonics is the medicinal mushrooms. So I know these days medicinal mushrooms are getting quite popular, and they are an old remedy that was used. The most documentation is in TCM, and one of their most studied mushrooms was the reishi mushroom. So the closest cousin to it that we have here on the West Coast is the West Coast varnish conch, or the West Coast reishi. It's like in the Ganoderma family. And this mushroom is one of my greatest allies, I would say, as it's been there for me in a lot of ways. It's a tonic for the immune system. It's also a tonic for stress management, and also mind health, really. So clear thinking, calmness in general. One of the favorite things that I've heard people say about it is that reishi saves the scholar from his own mind. So herbal medicine is an area of knowledge that, like, it's a rabbit hole, right? You can keep going down, keep going down. And that can happen with all sorts of things, right? With overthinking, overanalyzing, overplanning, this kind of state of being. Reishi is gonna ground people and kind of bring them back to themselves. And some people might say that it helps connect them with their spirit, with their true self. And so it's quite, to me, the only word I like to, or not that I like to use, but the best word is magical to me with this mushroom and my relationship with it. And I've been able to find it in the funniest of places. I think I have another video just about reishi mushroom that you can find out there about my stories of finding it. It is it's only available for usually like a very select window in the summertime, but I have found it year round. And it's only, the fruiting body of the mushroom is only available for a short period of time. It'll actually start to decay over time. Whereas something like the artist conch is another shelf mushroom from here on the West Coast. You often see people do drawings and stuff on the other underside. This is one that you'll find year-round, because it just keeps growing over the seasons. You can see by these lines, that's actually like the seasons that it keeps growing. Again, this is super good for your immune system, super antimicrobial, antibacterial. It's going to help preserve food. It's going to help fight off infection, balance like candida or like anything like that. And which the other one, superstar from around here, the red-belted polypore, very similar actions. And this one isn't as commercially available, but it's like one that's like very, very abundant where I live. And I would say it's kind of like one of those underdogs that has amazing properties. It's also, I use this in my antifungal formula, so it's also antifungal topically as well, so on the skin, any kind of foot fungus or anything like that. And then the other mushroom I have is the chaga. Lots of people have been hearing about chaga. So chaga doesn't grow here on the island, but it grows in northern British Columbia, and often people will get it from Russia. And I also know in Nova Scotia they're cultivating it there as well. And they say that reishi and chaga are like the king and queen of mushrooms. So very well studied, very well documented, um, and you know, lots of placebo tests and things like that to show its effectiveness. Um, Again, a tonic for different levels of the system. I really like um, chaga as a base for soups, and also even for kids it's hard to get herbs into them, which can be quite common. Is I'll even use it for like rice water and things like that, so that you know, getting the minerals in there in all different different ways. So what I'll do with these to create my own tonic, so a tea that I can drink several times a day to just generally boost my system, generally support me and my health, is I love to make a crock pot brew. So I always have a crock pot brew going on with little bits of the mushroom. And I think I already put some in there. So like with the reishi, you know, I put about this much in there. I would put the same amount of the chaga and like the artist conch. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a concoction in here. And so concoction is basically a really strong tea. And so roots and mushrooms and things like that, we can put in a crock pot and have it in there for several days, even several weeks. I've went on vacation and forgot about crock pots with mushrooms in there, and there would be no mold. Over time, like eventually, you'll probably get some mold, but if you're heating it, reheating it, and actually using it every day, you don't have to worry about that. And so it would be putting the mushrooms and that in there, putting it in the high heat, and then I usually start drinking it after a day of it being brewing, and then I keep adding water over time. And then what happens over time is the water just starts going clear. And so when the water starts going clear, then you know that you've sucked out all the water soluble properties of these mushrooms. So I'll just explain that a little bit. So when I say water, I'll say water soluble properties, oil soluble properties. What this means is that with different plants, there is different mediums for extracting their medicine and for us to be able to consume them or not consume them, to put them on topically. And so with these mushrooms, they're very generous, where they have both the alcohol soluble and the water soluble components. And when we put those things together, we get a more rounded version of the medicine. Even with the red belted polypore, like I make a medicinal oil with this for the antifungal properties that I was talking about. But also if it's taken internally, the antifungal properties would be kind of hitting us from the inside out, which can be a really good method for treating pesky things like foot fungus. So with the dual extract is I have a couple of them here. So I have the West Coast Reishi. This is from my product line. So I have a very small product line where I have a few tinctures and salves, and as well as bulk oils and bulk herbs. So I have two here. This is also the lungwort. So lungwort is a lichen that is a tonic for the lungs, and it grows in the sugar maple trees here. And you'll find this one sometimes commercially available. It's usually a little bit more expensive because it's rare. But if you have access to the lungwort, it's quite amazing. Yeah, it can be used as a dye. It can be used to treat TB, bronchitis, any kind of lung condition, basically. But it's also a tonic where it's going to help protect the lungs over time, so that we wouldn't actually we wouldn't catch those kinds of ailments in the lungs in the first place. So those are both dual extracts, examples of those. And like I mentioned, so I make different salves as well. In Ayurveda, they have this practice called oiling, and I really love oiling, which is the act of either putting a medicinal salve or medicinal oil on the skin regularly. So we can absorb plants through our skin as well. And some of them are better to consume this way for things like pain or inflammation. So I've been really experimenting over the years with different pain management tools because myself I've had different ailments and struggled with pain. So creating things like this is my muscle butter, where I have arnica and mugwort and cottonwood salve and all sorts of really relaxing herbs in there. And yeah, when I put it on, it just kind of like my shoulders would drop, right? Like it's like one goes down, I'm like, oh, okay, I gotta do the other one. Oh, okay. So that's another way um, of having a tonic practice would be to yeah, use massage oils for yourself or with someone else, and to do that as a regular practice. And as we do that as a regular practice, like I said, those herbs will build up in our system over time and actually be able to help us over time. The thing about tonics is they're often quite mild, right? And so they're not going to give us that punch and that bang. You know, it might not even feel um, uh, the effects of something the first time we take it, but over time, as it builds up in our system, we will start to notice the benefits of tonic herbs. Other things too for just putting in soup, like people use bay leaves all the time. So bay leaves is an amazing tonic. Sometimes I even put, if you know mullein, I put mullein in my soup stocks. It's a furry friend there. So amazing lung tonic, amazing tonic for any kind of joint issues or spinal injuries and things like that. Where when I'm making a soup stock, you know, I put things on and I let them brew for the day, and then I clear out all the herbs, and then I'll like start the next day. I'll usually add to it as my soup, but also sometimes I'll just make a really big stock, and then I'll put that in the freezer for future times. Like I'll make medicinal stock that's quite strong, and then I might add or water it down over time when I take it out of the fridge. But it's just a nice way that when I'm even when I'm processing herbs, you know, sometimes like say I was doing a bunch of mullein, but that had a bunch of stalks or, you know, little bits, I could use all of that in soup. So that's one way I really like to consume herbs as well and have them ready. Because that's the one thing is like with herbal medicine is that consistency is key. Of course, getting the dose right, getting the frequency right, and all of that is so important. And also, like getting the right herbs for the right people is so important. And that's why I always advocate working with some kind of herbalist if you have any concerns. But it's about the repetition and the ritual of it that really is going to benefit us over the long period of time, and also can be hardest thing to do because we are so busy, right? So it's finding out these ways to kind of sneak it into things that we're already doing. So another way you can consume tonics is like through powders, so you get different powdered herbs. So this is a cordyceps mushroom through Herbal Arts. So I really like their powdered mushrooms because I don't have all the machines and everything to do those things. So also the exotic mushrooms, I'll order from them because I know that they get really high quality. So powders I will add into different things. So one of the things that I really like to make is different mixtures of nuts and seeds and oats and things like that, and coconut. And then I'll use this as a base to make granola. I'll use the same base to I made some cookies with this. I made, what else? Energy balls and things like that. So I'll usually make, like as part of batch cooking, right, is how I incorporate my herbs. Is I'll make a base of something and then I'll flavor it different, or I'll add different things to it so that it's changing up in the flavor. But then I also know that I'm getting the regular medicinals in here. So I think in here I've got some cordyceps, I've got some maca in here, some turmeric. So these are all different things that are examples of tonics that can be added into meals so that we're having a little bit each day, right? And it really can be done to taste. It doesn't have to be a full dose. It's just knowing that we're getting those different minerals from those from the herbs, right? So this can really help with stress management over time, right? And I notice a lot of people that when they start taking herbs over a longer period of time, they notice that maybe they're not reacting as fast to a stressful situation, or oh yeah, maybe I didn't get a cold this year, you know, that kind of thing starts happening. Where, like I said, it's gradual, right? And it's herbs are very gentle way of being, and so noticing their actions and how they work or they don't work, you know, can sometimes go under the radar. So I think it's just important to maybe add one herb at a time and see the changes that you're noticing in yourself or not noticing, or and experimenting that way. Another great tonic is for mothers is the motherwort. So this one is just, I've gone to seed, and this is very available commercially, and I have a little bit in our shop as well. It's just amazing for mothers and all the different things and ailments they can go through. The other one is mugwort, which I talked about being in south form. So it is amazing as an oil. It is so relaxing. Oh, it's just my favorite. But it's also, when we take it internally, it's a tonic for the liver and for the digestive system as well. So it is a really amazing herb for that. What else do I got here? I got my rose salve, which is pretty nice. This is amazing tonic for the skin, for the face, tightening the face, closing pores, things like that. And also, yeah, as a herb, rose is amazing for the heart and for the nervous system as well, and for the mood. It's very, very uplifting. And oh yeah, the other thing was, so I grow most of the herbs that I provide, or I wild forage. So a lot of these things are wild forage, and also the practice of collecting medicine and growing medicine is a tonic in itself, where it's something that I'm doing regularly that is nourishing to me. With my connection with the land, with the community of herbs, but also the community of herbalists, you know, having healthy ways of connecting and sharing knowledge and everything has been such a nourishing part of my journey. And so we often hear this idea of rewilding, you know, and we got to get back into nature. And I feel that herbal medicine is an amazing gateway for that, because we are like literally consuming raw forms of nature. You know, a lot of our foods and medicines have gotten very processed. And so part of the reason why I even have an apothecary is because I really want to provide high quality medicine, like medicine that comes with the essence of the plant. I mean, it hasn't been shipped all over the place and repackaged, and everything has been also harvested with intention, you know. And so part of that, this rewilding thing that's going on, I feel that it's very linked to, I think, our craving of going back to some of the old ways. Like herbal medicine was the way for the longest time, and you know, I'm not going to get into all the details of what happened there. You know, I'm sure you can do lots of different research, but the slowing down, you know, not on the rat race, you know, not expecting a quick fix, is a part of getting back to the natural cycle of nature. You know, nature moves slow and it moves rhythmically. You know, we have these different cycles that we go through: the moon cycle, the solar cycle, and all the other plants or planets and everything, and the seasons, right? We go through these cycles. And so that's the thing with tonics is that I recommend is that we go through them with seasons. So I might be having reishi for the summer, and then I might, put it down for a while and we have some chaga for the fall. It's like moving things around a bit, but taking things long enough that we are getting the benefits. And getting our medicine from different sources, right? And in different forms, right? So that's a part of, I feel, the nature connection journey, and how we can use herbal medicine as a part of that, so that we can be resilient and vibrant, in this world. And the modern day culture is, we often get bombarded with information and tasks and all of these things. So the simple act of sitting down with a cup of tea, and it's the same cup of tea that you're having all week, I feel is such a nourishing thing that we can do for ourselves, and to incorporate these small rituals, right? And how they build up over time and really, really fuel us and help us be able to give from our abundance. Nature is so abundant and provides all of these herbs for us. And when I didn't know plants, I was just blind to them all, and now I'm like, oh, so curious, right? I want to see, and like, oh, there's how many different varieties of this mushroom, what, and like, there's a lot to notice as well. So when we're in nature and we start noticing these different plants, or start noticing our instinct to be drawn towards certain plants, I feel really is a part of being human and being the animals that we are, And so I feel that that's another added bonus for exploring herbal medicine, especially the tonics, because it's something that we are forming a relationship with over time. And it doesn't matter if you can't harvest yourself. There's a lot of people that are able to do that, and that's part of what I do for the community is grow and forage, like I said. And so I've made a few different products, and now I'm starting to test the waters with holding space for people who want to start their own apothecaries. So that would be bulk herbs, bulk oils, bulk tincture, and things like that. I'm very open to exploring offerings in these categories, and I really want to provide high quality medicine that is made and processed the same year that it's consumed. It's not sitting on shelves for long periods of time. And I also, like, part of why I call myself a community herbalist is that I love sharing and teaching about plant medicine. I really like to connect the bridge between plants and people, and be generous with my knowledge, because that's how our ancestors taught. Was how did everyone know that certain mushrooms or certain plants were good for things before we had science? That's always really fascinated me, and I have a few videos on that topic as well. But the act of sharing is a really big part of herbal medicine and the herbal medicine community. And so there's a lot of different ways to connect more. I have a Facebook group that's quite new where I've been teaching more. It's called DIY Organic Herbal Creatives, and it's for people who are interested in herbal medicine, interested in making their own medicine, maybe even interested in starting a company. And right now I've been sharing some different plant profiles in there and answering people's questions. And so you're totally welcome to come and join us. We're also going to have a space monthly where we can do some barter and trade with each other as well, because we all have different abundance, right? So also with social media and everything, so Heart Seeds Creative is where you'll find me on Instagram. I just started YouTube. I'm practicing making videos, and on Facebook as well, and Twitter. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Tumblr. Most of that is just my Instagram stuff getting reposted there, so you can find me there. And then my website is www.heartseeds.org. heartseeds.org, where you can find out more about this project of Heartseeds Creative and how it's actually shifting into an artist collective right now, which is really exciting. And we've got lots of plans and lots of things. And we've just launched a shop this last spring, or relaunched a shop last spring, where we've got several different herbs and tinctures and salves available. And so for watching this video and still being here, I have a coupon code for the shop. It is a 25% off coupon code that you can use on as many purchases in one go. You can just use the coupon one time, but you could have, you know, multiple things in your cart if you wish to do so. And the code is just the numbers 2020. So 2020, and that'll get you the 25% off. We also have a newsletter, so if you sign up for the newsletter, you actually get a 15% off coupon code there as well. And so that's where I share kind of all the first sites of everything that I'm doing. And because I do such things on such a small scale, you know, I don't have a big factory or anything. I mostly do everything you know, with my hands, and I have interns. So we do a lot of pre-ordering with our medicines, and so that we make the right amount for the community. And yeah, so if you join the newsletter, you'll find out about things first, and so you can hop on there for that. And I'm just gonna look at my notes and see if I got everything. Yeah, that feels good. All right. So take care and just keep going down the rabbit hole. There's so much to learn, and you deserve to feel good in your body and mind and spirit. So I wish you well in your journey. Take care. Bye.